All right, so let me get into our first review. We're going to be discussing Deep Water. Deep Water is the movie on Hulu, starring Ben Affleck, Ana de Armas. Ben Affleck, Ana de Armas. At one point, they were together. At one point, had a little bit of a fling, a tryst,
Hmm.
as they would say.
Yeah, yeah, she was his. Yeah, she found after divorce from Jennifer Garner. Don't ask me how the fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, they ended up together. Yeah, nice catch by the way. And they almost they're not together anymore. Ben Affleck, he's with he's back with Jennifer Lopez again. But hey,
Like
bravo to
third or
him.
fourth time.
Yeah, so bravo to him. You know, Ana de Armas, Jennifer Lopez. I mean, hey, bravo to him.
Yeah, it's all fun and games until another Geely until they try to reboot Geely.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, yeah, well, hey, it's the age of reboots. Maybe they'll give it another try. I guess. So in this movie here, you have the two of them. They're a married couple, well-to-do couple, and it's a situation where Ana de Armas is flirting with all these other different men. You know, you see Ben. I think they have this very
Mhm.
troubled marriage. You know, she's openly flirting with other men, and not only in front of him, but just in front of all their friends in this kind of suburbia
Mhm.
s neighborhood. And the movie
Yeah,
constantly is growing in
yeah.
tension.
It's a yeah yeah. It's a fascinating dynamic because script doesn't do it justice. I think the hint that at one point, possibly together, this was an arrangement that the longer Ben Affleck has down, and the more it's like, all right, this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, you're cutting out bad. I don't know. You're cutting kind of in and out bad. I don't know
Oh, goddamn.
what it is. Yeah, maybe check your settings there a little, like real quick, maybe.
What
Uh,
the hell?
yeah, because it's hard to understand you. Like every third word is kind of going like in and out. It's kind of hard to understand you there. Um, but yeah, so like Nick was talking about, you do have a situation where they have this troubled marriage. You know, she's flirting, and it's building up this kind of this tension of why is the situation like this? What is going to be the outcome of the situation of Anna Darmus doing what she is doing? What's going to be the big fallout from it? And throughout the movie, I would say at first it is kind of intriguing to see where things are going to lead because it does have that quality of being this, kind of thriller. And you do kind of see like, oh man, where are things going to lead and how are things going to really operate here? But I think it becomes extremely repetitive,
Mm.
and it just kind of becomes the same thing, kind of over and over again. Of Ana de Armas, like she flirts with a dude. You see Ben Affleck sees her flirting, then he gets sad. He gives that sad puppy dog look. Then he walks away. Then she flirts with another guy. Then he gives the same look. Then he kind of walks away. Like it happens over and over and over again. And it's just a lot of times it's them going to these different parties. She meets these younger, handsome men, and you just kind of it just kind of happens like 3-4 times in the movie, and after it kind of happens that many times, you're just kind of like, okay, what's happening here? What are we leading
It
up to?
almost becomes parody. It almost becomes like a parody of a erotic thriller.
Yeah, very much so. Like
Mhm.
watching it, I kind of was like, this is basically just like a white Tyler Perry movie. That's what it is. I mean, like, what's the real big
Ah!
difference between this and Acrimony or Temptation or something like that? I mean, it's a basic same kind of setup. It's just like, okay, you
Okay,
have this situation.
I'm with you there. I sent there. This is very much a basic original of these kinds of erotic thrillers. I think the difference from both of the lead actors. I think if they're slacking, then this movie kind of falls apart.
Mm.
Dusk, what were kind of your thoughts there?
So this movie is based on the 1957 psychological thriller Deep Water, which was written by Patricia Highsmith. She's written a bunch of other novels. Was known for her psychological thrillers. She wrote the Ripley series, which was, I think, more than 4 books. That's one she's more known for. This is another one she's semi known for. Uh, Based on what I briefly know about how the movie follows similarly the book, but after about the halfway mark, that's where it just kind of splits off and starts being its own thing. a lot of the repetitive nature of the movie is not the case in the book, where it leads to a point and follows a different path and talks a bit more about marital issues, things of that nature, and how it becomes obsession after a long time. This movie, unfortunately, gets very repetitive very quickly. Once you've seen one scene with Ben Affleck looking sad, and my wife is in this situation, and she's looking at another man and and I'm being jealous, and you know where this is gonna go, to a point where there are certain moments in this movie you're like, why? He has his reputation. Why are you going with him? Why are you going with him? Why are you doing this? Why would you be alone with this person? The first couple times, all right, whatever. But why would you knowingly go somewhere? Like, this one particular character goes to in the middle of nowhere. Oh yeah, I'll get in a car with you. You know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah, at that point, I think the movie had to end at some point.
Yeah.
And we can only stand so long of watching Ben Affleck get cucked for like
basically
an hour and
yeah.
40-some minutes.
I also don't quite understand this movie's logic in its own metrics. From when I briefly researched that, after I watched the movie, I was so curious because I knew it was based on a book. I'm like, well, how did the book go after seeing this movie? Because I was just kind of curious. And the book it's very different after a certain point. A lot more seedier in certain aspects, and they delve into this one in the book. Ben Affleck's character Vic is a lot more of just a kind of a decent guy at first, and it's his wife's infidelity that starts this arrangement of, we'll just have an open marriage. But Vic stays mostly, for the most part in the book, I'm going to still be kind of faithful. And she's the one who just keeps getting more and more lovers and pushing it. And it's like the descent of madness this guy goes through, of at first claiming, oh, no, I'm totally going to do that. And then no, I legit do it now. And now it's becoming obsession. And now it's becoming like anger and jealousy. But I want to keep this together until you come back to me, kind of thing. And it's this really kind of like sad descent until it all just comes apart. And in this movie, the way it ends, you're just kind of like, wait, what?
Yeah, like the movie, like it just, like I said, it's extremely repetitive, and it's just like a basic thriller with no real point to it. And when it comes to the ending, it's like, oh, that's it. That's the best it's got.
Yeah,
you know.
It felt like, this was going to go on for another 2 hours if we didn't just put this here. Like, all right, look, this is just going to continue, but this is when the movie's going to stop. Like, we're done. This is where we're going to stop in this story, but it's going to keep on going.
Yeah.
It almost feels like they ran out of money shooting this film, and they say, wait, we still got another like 20 pages of script to film, and it's like, fuck you.
I mean,
there's someone with like a swiping notion of the neck. Cut it.
Yeah. And when Nick talks about the performances, I think like Ben Affleck, I think it's a solid performance, but it's a pretty one-note performance.
It's basically his performance in Gone Girl, except you cut a twist in that movie.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up later. If you want to see like a better thriller, go see Gone Girl. This is kind of what it's
like performance in the first 40. It's the first 40 minutes of Gone Girl.
Yeah, for the most part, and I felt like the reason I haven't really been talking about the acting, because everyone's acting is mostly serviceable. No one gives a really super bad performance, and I even think that Ben Affleck does a decent job. But it's a one note, like you said. It's just one reaction and one type of circumstance on repeat. And look, don't get me wrong.
Towards the
go ahead.
Very end, where I think he adds more. He does when he does get really violent and goes on that murderous path. I thought he sold that very well.
it takes a long ass time to finally get to that point. That point should have happened much earlier.
Yeah.
Aside from that, Ben Affleck's fine. Tracy Letts is fine as Don, a friend of the family,
He was,
and
he was
okay.
the one character I couldn't stand. It's like,
Yeah.
why the fuck are you fucking with these people?
Yeah, no. That's also his how he deals with the family in this movie is very different in the books. And the books is a lot more subtle, and he actually has plans, and he's actually working with Melinda in some way to try and figure things out. In this, he's just so open about it, where even Vic has to like chastise him in front of his family and daughter. It's like, dude, why are you doing this? I'm gonna do something to you if you really think. It's a very similar scene to Breaking Bad, where it's like, if I'm really this bad person, you really think you want to be messing with me right here? I'm as bad as you think you are. I mean, the last thing I'll
That
say
scene in the
is,
dark.
yeah, go ahead.
And the richest, most powerful man in the world beats up criminals in the middle of the night with his bare hand.
Basically, look,
Planless person.
Other thing I really had to say is this. I mean, Ana de Armas. I mean, damn, she fine. I mean, she's a very nice.
Fine. She is fine with a capital F.
But at a certain point, you kind of even go in this movie version. You kind of go like, I mean, aside from like what's going on here, like, why are you even doing this? It's not like she particularly like you don't understand why the relationship is as bad on the rocks as it is.
Yeah. Maybe
and it's like, oh, we're just kind of in a loveless marriage. I'm like, you literally don't have to worry about anything. He makes drones. They sell millions and millions of dollars. And he's no offense, he's Ben Affleck. He's Ben Affleck.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is, because they try to, I mean, maybe this would be better as maybe like a limited series. Maybe if you did 6 episodes, 4 episodes.
I don't even think it has legs for that.
Because a lot of it is like, because they try to explain like the marriage is like, well, there's no passion in the marriage. And she's really, is she having these affairs and flirting with these other dudes to get a rise out of him and to, get some type of passion in the relationship. And the stuff you explained.
I think but they don't dive deep into that enough.
No. And this isn't a dark comedy either. This could have been a really good like War of the Roses movie.
I mean, it's not played as a dark comedy.
No,
but there are some scenes that I was laughing. A lot of unintentional.
Right, unintentional. But if you ever want to see like this kind of just almost dark comedy-esque kind of a destruction of a marriage, check out War of the Roses made by Danny DeVito. That movie is really dark, but it's also kind of funny.
Yeah.
And there's these two divorcees just basically going at each other till they both basically try to kill each other.
Yeah.
But
like you said, I mean,
I don't know, man.
Like you said, I mean, if you want to see a much better one, I mean, it's Gone Girl is obviously the much kind of better version of these kind of suburbia thrillers here that you'll see, and this one, like I said, it's even though it's on Hulu, I don't even think like because it's building this tension, but the conclusion is incredibly weak. It
doesn't go anywhere,
and it doesn't go anywhere, and it's like as a viewer, you're like Ben Affleck in the movie. You're getting blue balls watching this whole thing, so it's like, what the fuck am I even really watching? I'm like, they cucking me by watching. I'm watching this. They as a viewer, so it's like, what the?
That's the intention. He's feeling.
Yeah, I mean, if that was the intent, then I guess great job. Just treat me like Ben Affleck here. Cut my balls off, but I mean, it's a pretty kind of weak thriller. I mean, Ana de Armas, in Ben Affleck, I think there's some good moments where they do kind of go at each other, but that gets tired after a while. It's like, okay, this is kind of tired. And it's a decent enough performances from the both of them. And I did like some of the side characters. I got like Lil Rel Howery. I always like seeing Lil Rel Howery. He's always a delight to see and stuff. And he's here as one of the best friends of Ben Affleck's character. And he's decent enough. But yeah, I mean, it's just super goofy at a lot of points. Like, it's trying to be this, like, we're this serious, dark thriller, but it's goofy as hell. Like a lot of stuff in it was just incredibly goofy, and it's like that's why I say it's like a white Tyler Perry movie because it's like the stuff that he's able to do and get away with and all this. It's like this is goofy as fuck, you know. So yeah, I would say, do I hate it enough to give it a burn it or dislike it enough? I'd maybe give it a low stream it. Maybe that. Because it's, maybe you find a little some enjoyment, but like I said, you can watch so many better thrillers. So right now I guess I give it a low stream it. What about you guys?
You're being generous, sir.
Yeah. What about you, Dust?
Me, I think the screenplay by Sam Levinson, I think it is pretty weak. I think you had a lot of interesting routes with this kind of broken marriage and what you could talk about with this. You could talk about nature of polyamory and what it's like when one of the partners and into it, which I feel like this movie is advocating for. No, stay monogamous. Do that on the show. Whatever makes you happy, as long as everyone's consenting, go for it. As long as you're not hurting anybody. But but I think the screenplay is kind of half baked. I think the pacing is a little too slow, and a conclusion that is pretty unsatisfying. I didn't hate the movie. I do think the performances are really good and fun to watch. I think Ben Affleck, this is another example on this like career resurgence that especially the Tender Bar, which was okay, but he's great in it. In the Last Duel, where he's going full anachronistic, unhinged, a fan of this Ben Affleck renaissance of it. I think he's great in the and he's probably the scariest that he's ever been, more so than when he was trying to play Batman. Besides the performance from him and Ana de Armas, there really isn't much to but I do give it. I would say it's probably a skip it. More intriguing erotic thrillers like this, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't have a good time watching it.
Okay. Dust?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say give it an old skip it. You don't really you can settle with Gone Girl. You can watch something with more dark comedy. You get the same kind of message. I think the script was a bit half baked. You had a whole novel to go through, and what changes they did make ultimately weakened the script and the story from which it came from. You could have made it better if you were going to alter changes from it, but ultimately, while the performances are fairly okay, it's a bit too slow for its own good and too repetitive for its own sake. And ultimately, the conclusion is unsatisfying, and that's just kind of it. If an erotic thriller is kind of based on whether or not you are either thrilled or it was tantalizing, and I kind of got really not really either. So it kind of fails in its own premise. So I didn't hate it. It wasn't super terrible, but it was just so forgettable that I can't recommend even streaming it. So just you can just skip it. You're not missing much.
Yeah. Maybe I'll change it. Maybe I'll just give it a skip it. Yeah, I'll change it. Yeah, I'll just give it a skip it. Yeah, because even streaming it, I just don't think there's really anything here.